Theft of the Golden Apples, Part 2. Idun and her golden apples that gifted youth to the gods had been lost. For the first time, the Aesir began to fade and age. Tyr's back grew weak, and he walked with a stoop. Thor lost control of his bowels and smelt greatly. Heimdallar's ears grew faint, and he often forgot which way he was wandering. Odin's eye grew glassy. Freya lost her hair and beauty. Honir griped about the faults of his friends, and the other gods fell silent and grew meek, shrinking from battle and conflict. Odin was troubled, for how could they defend Asgard against their enemies with creaking bodies and soft minds? He gathered what strength he had left, and called the council to discuss who had last seen the youthful goddess. Heimdallar, for a time, knew not what they were discussing, but after the third attempt to yell their meaning, he remembered. The memory was faint, but he had seen Loki lead Idun down Bifrost some time ago. They looked around them. Loki was missing. The gods knew without a doubt Loki had done this. They pulled together their wrinkled and aching bodies and scoured Asgard for the troublemaker. Finally, he was found on Idun's own porch and brought before Odin. Odin named Loki a fool and threatened to pull his beguiling tongue from his mouth and bind him for 1,000 years. Loki protested. It could not be counted against him as a fault. The eagle they had seen was the giant Thiazi, and he had been made to promise to deliver Idun to save his life. And you could find no way to deceive the giant, Odin said scornfully. Loki opened his mouth to speak, but Odin allowed it not. There would be no more words from the silver-tongued god. By deeds would he redeem his life. He would retrieve Idun back from Thiazi, or his tongue would rot in his mouth, and Odin would melt his mind behind his very eyes. Loki bowed before the All-Father of Gods, and made a single request: to be allowed the use of Freya's falcon skin, to allow him to reach Jotunheim, the giant's land. Odin agreed, and Freya lent him the skin. Loki wore it, shifted shape, and flew away. In time, he found the home of Thiazi, and took up watch on a nearby oak, watching and waiting, until the day the giant went out to sea. His patience was well rewarded, and he entered the giant's home, and found Idun alone. He shifted shape to his own self, and approached Idun. Yet seeing him appear, she slapped him hard across the face and ordered him off, accused him of lying, that he was not here to take her home, but to deliver her to yet another captor. Her eyes narrowed in contempt, and Loki could see that sweetness had given way to fear and anger. So he parsed no words, but turned her into a nut, took the shape of the bird to grasp her in his talons, and flew back to Asgard. Not long after, the giant returned, and seeing the apples missing, took flight and soared after Loki, leaving windstorms in his wake. Loki flew as quickly as his wings would carry him, but still the giant gained. Odin saw the falcon and the nut being pursued by the eagle. Perceiving that this was Loki and the giant, he called on the gods to raise their bones and gather tinder and twigs to cover entirely the northern wall of Asgard. Loki beat his wings, almost to exhaustion. The eagle was now not even 3 strides behind. At the very moment Loki cleared the wall, the gods set the tinder aflame and created a wall of fire that leapt into the air. Thiazi could no sooner turn the sun from its course than slow, so he flew through the flames, and his beautiful feathers caught fire, and he died in the air and fell to ashes on the ground. Loki returned Idun to her form, and she quickly attended to the gods, and returned to them their youth. She was reunited with her husband, who held her close and never left her side. And while in time she returned to her sweetness and innocence, she never still would trust a word that was ever uttered from the mouth of Loki.